An arrow was launched as a huge creature was about to attack someone. The arrow hit the monster right on target. The owner of the arrow was high up on a hill. The battle continued fiercely. After eliminating the last creature, a man commented to the boy who shot the arrow that he did a great job and thanked him for saving his life. Another man emphasized that it seemed the money his young master spent was not wasted and that the boy was worth the price. The spearman agreed and added that his money was not spent in vain because they had hit the jackpot, as the performance Luo Tian showed everyone there seemed almost on the same level as that of a level 1 ability user specialized in archery. The boy in question called out to young Master Yu and Captain Gao, informing them that they needed to be more careful from now on, as he believed the gray wolves they had faced should normally be in the Black Wind Canyon, their territory, but had suddenly appeared there, which was quite unusual. Therefore, the captain called Husan and told him that since he was the fastest in the group, he should go ahead and scout the area, and if anything happened, he should inform them as quickly as possible. Having said that, Husan activated his extreme speed ability and rushed off at full speed. Then the master went to the boy with the bow and asked him not to worry, as he had seen Captain Gao fighting moments earlier and knew he was a peak level 1 ability user, besides the fact that all members of the team possessed extraordinary strength, and because of that, ordinary dangerous situations couldn't stop them. He added that he was already used to all of this. In the era of strange invasions that Earth was facing, secret space realms had formed around the world, and within each secret realm, creatures lurked. However, within each one of them, infinite treasures were hidden. The archer, while walking with the master, had in mind that he was not an ability user, but rather a secret realm guide, and that the person beside him was named Wang Wu, a young master of the second generation of the wealthy and also his employer, who in turn commented that he had heard that 3 days ago, a red giant wielding a battle axe had appeared there in the Blackstone secret realm, eliminating monsters and ability users upon sight, being an extremely fierce and brutal creature. The MC commented that if that was true, he feared that this red giant might be a level 2 or higher strength ability user, and that it would be better to pray not to encounter it. Wang Wu became thoughtful, but said he had heard that the giant was almost 2.5 meters tall, and that he didn't even know if it was human or a monster, but made it clear that he really wanted to see that thing with his own eyes. Captain Gao called out to the young master and begged him not to cause more trouble for the group, suggesting that everyone should focus on finding the wind spirit orb first. Wang Wu agreed and emphasized that they first needed to find the orb and deliver it to Miss Ming. Luo Tian commented that, apparently, for the young master to risk his life so desperately, he wanted to know if this Miss Ming could be more beautiful than a goddess. The employer smiled and said that the MC would have to see her in person to understand how he felt. At that moment, the captain asked everyone to stop because he thought something was wrong and told everyone to be careful. Then, he crouched down and after checking something on the ground, said it was blood, wanting to know if Husan hadn't gone that way to explore and why he hadn't sent any warning yet. Luo Tian commented that since he hadn't sent any warning, he thought it might be even more dangerous to move forward. The captain immediately ordered everyone to maintain formation and proceed cautiously. Then, as they walked a bit further ahead, he was completely shocked because he saw several people lying on the ground, completely defeated. Thus, they approached them, and the captain commented that the bodies lying there must belong to an adventure team that had been ahead. The MC says that judging by the wounds and the way the bodies are distributed, he thinks almost everyone was eliminated at the same time, and that it must have been a very fast monster that did all this. Then, they hear a noise, and the captain wants to know what lies ahead, since there's a huge creature feeding on the fallen bodies. The creature in question is a mutant monster, the evil leopard. Wang Wu explains what kind of monster it is, and informs them that it's a level 2 monster. The creature starts moving slowly, but then suddenly leaps forward, and the captain warns everyone to be careful because the creature is very fast. But he thinks the speed he's seeing is not what a level 2 monster should have. While the evil leopard moves rapidly among everyone, dodging attacks, Wang Wu comments that he fears the monster might have mutated again, and that it's at least a level 2 offspring. However, the creature turns against one of the group members, and, with nothing he can do, he is eliminated by the evil leopard. The creature quickly turns against the others and charges straight at the MC, but the employer steps in front and says he will block the leopard's attack, asking the MC to shoot arrows into the creature's eyes. Having said that, He activates his Demon Gorilla Giant Strength ability and tries to block the monster's attack. Luo jumps to the side, prepares his arrows, and quickly fires them, hitting the leopard's face squarely and striking one of its eyes. However, the monster becomes furious and strikes with its sharp claws, then leaps toward the employer. The captain readies his spear, jumps in front of them, and blocks the attack. One of the team members begins trembling in fear, saying that a level 2 demonic beast simply isn't something people like them can stop. And, most importantly, he doesn't want to be eliminated there. Then the captain becomes surprised because he realizes that the leopard, in addition to attacking with its claws, can also attack using sound waves. As a result, everyone is hit by the evil leopard's sonic attack and thrown violently against the rocks. The MC quickly tries to stand up but ends up facing the massive creature. He becomes furious, calls the beast cursed, and emphasizes that it's courting its own destruction. But the leopard doesn't care and charges toward the MC, who, just before being attacked, raises his arm and shouts loudly. A dark energy begins descending from the skies, catching the leopard's attention. Then, an axe comes spinning down from the sky and strikes the creature, completely shattering the ground below. Luo extends his hand to grasp his weapon, and as soon as he holds it, his body begins to release an intense energy. The MC then rushes toward the creature and immediately launches an attack. While in the air, he grips his axe tightly and lands a direct hit on the creature. The leopard starts to get up and prepares its sonic wave once again. But Luo doesn't stay still, and, as he quickly approaches the beast to strike his punch, makes it clear that in the end, a beast is just a beast. He then delivers his powerful blow to the creature and asks if it really thought he would let it use the same move a second time. The creature is thrown violently against the rocks. Luo smiles, walks up to the leopard, and tells it that this is the end of the line. The creature, terrified, runs away at full speed, but the MC gathers momentum, jumps in front of the leopard, and asks if it really thinks it's going to escape. Then he prepares his attack with the axe, and, upon striking, cuts the creature in half and destroys all the ground along the path of his attack. Luo takes a deep breath, extends his arm with the axe, and a rift opens, causing the weapon to be drawn into another dimension. After the axe disappears, the MC returns to normal, clenches his fist tightly, and comments that the feeling of having overwhelming power is truly intoxicating. But he knows that unfortunately, there is a malevolent energy within the battle axe that prevents him from remaining transformed for too long. Otherwise, he thinks he would become a bloodthirsty monster that only knows how to kill. Then he turns to the team members and realizes that all of them are seriously injured, which will be a bit troublesome. But as soon as he searches through the employer's clothes, he sees that he has several mid-level healing potions and thinks it's no wonder he's rich. Having said that, while pouring the potion into Wang Wu's mouth, he comments that with such a good healing potion like the one he's giving, he thinks it would be difficult for him to be eliminated even if he wanted to. At that moment, someone moves quickly across the rocks, and the MC immediately stands up upon seeing a person. It's Jiang Biao, the inspector of Black Rock City, who wants to know if the boy in front of him is really Luo Tian. The MC, a little surprised, answers yes, and asks if something is wrong with the inspector. He laughs, replies that it's nothing, and explains that he was just patrolling the area when he felt a violent energy impact. He then wants to know if by any chance the mysterious giant with an axe appeared. Luo explains that moments earlier his team had encountered a mutant monster and was almost completely wiped out. But fortunately, the giant the inspector is talking about appeared, eliminated the mutant monster, and then disappeared. Jiang Biao becomes serious and wants to know if the MC is sure that the giant really appeared. Then he asks him to hand over the blood axe and promises to spare the MC's life. Luo becomes confused and asks the inspector what he's trying to imply. Jiang Biao points his finger at the MC and tells him not to play dumb because he knows he is that blood axe giant and the son of the former chief inspector of Black Rock City. Luo becomes worried and thinks that the inspector has discovered that he is the son of the former chief inspector, as he knows that outside the secret realms, although people live normally, strange creatures often emerge from within them, causing great disasters. And because of that, he knows that each city has established patrol guards composed of ability users responsible for patrolling all the secret realms around the city and protecting it. He then thinks that his father, Luo Feng, was the former chief inspector of Black Rock City's patrol and also a powerful ability user. But unfortunately, 3 years ago, he went on a patrol mission and never returned. Before disappearing, the only relic he left behind was the blood axe, and he instructed his son to keep it secret and tell no one. Jiang Biao keeps laughing and emphasizes that if he hadn't seen the axe with his own eyes, he would never have thought of it. He also comments that he never imagined the former chief inspector, Mr. Luo Feng, loved his son so much that before disappearing, he even gave such a valuable treasure like the blood axe to the MC. Then, he starts laughing like a madman and emphasizes that this is great because now the treasure can be his. He then tells the MC to blame himself for being so foolish for daring to show off such a valuable treasure as the blood axe. Having said that, he draws his sword and, pointing it at Luo Tian, demands to know where the treasure is hidden. Luo looks up, then becomes very serious and comments that if the inspector wants the blood axe so badly, then he will grant his wish. Having said that, he summons it and immediately gains incredible strength. Without wasting any time, he pushes off with his feet, jumps toward the inspector, attacks, and throws Jiang Biao violently against a rock. The inspector laughs and sees that the MC really has the blood axe, then emphasizes that allowing an ordinary person like the MC, who hasn't awakened any special ability, to possess such power is a sin. Luo makes it clear that since the inspector discovered the blood axe, he should take that secret to hell with him. Jiang begins gathering power in his body and quickly activates his second awakening steel body ability. He then calls out to the MC and emphasizes that he shouldn't think he can act so arrogantly just because he eliminated a recently mutated level 2 evil leopard cub. Luo, not wanting to talk, charges toward the inspector, but he manages to block his attack. Then, he becomes very surprised, questioning how his attack was blocked. Jiang laughs and comments that it wasn't a bad attack and that the boy can even try attacking him again. Thus, the MC begins to strike several blows, moving from side to side, attacking the inspector, and upon delivering another attack, he feels something strange, drops the axe on the ground, and comments that the malevolent energy within his weapon is almost reaching its limit. The inspector calls out to the MC and emphasizes that his steel body is the most resistant, but he wants to know about the MC's, as he thinks the power the blood axe gave him has finally reached its limit. Luo thinks that he needs to end the transformation immediately, or he will lose his sanity and become a bloodthirsty monster that only knows how to kill, and that perhaps, in that case, his only choice will be to use his last resort. Thus, he takes a potion and drinks it completely. His body immediately begins to release a blue energy, and the inspector shouts, asking if the boy is truly crazy for using an eternal winter potion, as he knows his soul will become completely frozen with no return. Luo struggles to stay on his feet, grabs the axe, and quickly prepares himself. Then, he unleashes his Crimson Blood Slash technique. The inspector is terrified as he sees the powerful attack coming toward him, gets hit, and is thrown far away. The MC breathes heavily and quickly unequips his axe. Leaning against a rock, the inspector is deeply frightened, questioning if he really lost to a mere human who hasn't awakened any ability, as he knows he's a level 2 ability user at the initial stage. Luo walks up to the inspector, takes his sword, and comments that he shouldn't worry because he'll send him to hell quickly. Jiang, almost out of strength, says that the boy can't kill him because he can still be useful, and besides, the blood axe is also being sought by his captain, and the MC is no match for him. He adds that if his life is spared, he can give information and help him avoid being hunted by his captain. Luo stabs the sword into the inspector and comments that he talks too much. Then he turns around, thinking that he didn't expect Captain Ross to also be after the blood axe, as he knows he is a level 2 ability user at the advanced stage, and that in Black Rock City, he is considered someone very powerful. He concludes that his situation has become even more difficult since he knows that after the invasion of strange monsters, only those who possess awakened abilities can face them, and that after the first awakening, strength is divided into 4 stages: initial, intermediate, advanced, and peak. After that come the second awakening and the third awakening. Luo knows that in his case, he is a special type since he hasn't awakened any ability, and all his power comes from the mysterious blood axe. However, he is aware that because of his ordinary human body, the power of the axe that he can withstand without losing control is equivalent only to that of a level 2 ability user at the initial stage. That's why he wants to become stronger and find his missing father, but the only choice he has at the moment is to become an ability user. He then reflects that he tried to awaken his ability many times, But each time he tried, it was destroyed by the power of the blood axe. And it was at that moment he sensed that the ability stones were too low ranked to be recognized by the blood axe. Thus, that was why he became a guide, because he wanted to use the power of ability users to find higher ranked ability stones in the secret realm. However, with the appearance of the giant with the blood axe, not only did Inspector Jiang suspect his identity, but also Captain Ross. He knows that even if he returns to Black Rock City, he won't be able to escape the captain's pursuit, and that the so-called Wind Spirit Orb they mentioned earlier is a type of ability stone with an extremely rare classification. After getting ready, he thinks that this is the only way he can imagine at the moment to get out of the chaotic situation he's in. Moreover, his body is on the verge of collapse, and he needs to find a safe place to recover from his injuries before going to search for the Wind Spirit Orb. Luo looks back and, seeing his employer Wang Wu and the group captain, comments that the evil leopard's energy won't dissipate quickly, and that because of this, other monsters won't dare to approach, making the canyon temporarily safe. Thus, he continues on his way to find a safe place where he can recover. After finding a place, he makes a campfire and thinks that he knows that, according to the rule of survival in nature, one should never light a fire at night to avoid attracting the gaze of those lurking in the dark. But since he really has no choice, it was necessary. Then he reflects that using the Eternal Winter Potion to suppress the impact caused by the malevolent energy of the Blood Axe was really a smart move. However, he knows that remnants of the potion's power remained in his body, and that almost made his body freeze and shatter completely. And, while warming up, a sinister spider approaches. The MC remains focused, and the spider lunges forward, but it is quickly neutralized. Luo takes a deep breath and sees that his aim is still very good despite everything. After daybreak, he goes outside and reflects that, according to reports, 3 days ago, someone saw the orb of the Wind Spirit near the Cliff of Wind and Thunder. He also knows that he lost a lot of time there, and needs to get there as quickly as possible. Otherwise, the orb of the Wind Spirit could be taken by someone at any moment. After walking a bit, he ends up arriving at the Black Forest, and several level 1 shadow mantises emerge from the ground. From afar, Luo watches this, and thinks that the Black Forest is really strange, because he wouldn't have imagined that there would be monsters like the ones he's seeing around. Then he knows it's a pity to be in a hurry. Otherwise, he would definitely pass through there. Then he crouches, takes something from his backpack, and thinks that fortunately, he is well prepared. Thus, he throws a handful of straw with fire near the mantises, and soon the straw begins to burn and release dark smoke, which quickly fills the area, scaring off the creatures. After the smoke thickens even more, the MC takes the opportunity and starts running. While running, he keeps observing everything around until he stops for a moment because something catches his attention, as he is seeing a level 2 demonic plant of the Infernal Flower. Luo has in mind that where the demonic plant is must be the center of the Black Forest. Then he notices that ahead, there really is a cave and thinks it must be a shortcut to the Cliff of Thunder and Wind, since he believes that only veterans who explored the secret realm of the Black Rock years ago know this shortcut, and he also heard his father and his friends mention the place when he was a child. However, he ends up feeling a tremor and wonders if something might be moving in the forest. Thus, he jumps to the top of a tree and sees a shadow in the middle of the smoke until a level 1 demonic boar appears and seems very furious. But the creature quickly stops upon seeing the demonic plant in front of it, then immediately turns around, and the MC realizes that apparently the shadow mantises guided the boar there, which, in turn, is cornered and doesn't notice one of the tentacles of the demonic flower. It is grabbed by it and quickly devoured. Then the flower begins to emit an aura that makes the mantises approach. Luo, observing all this, wonders if perhaps the shadow mantises and the infernal flower are a single entity, and if they were helping the infernal flower to hunt. Then, he concludes that apparently forcing his way through there will be quite troublesome, and that it's better to wait for an opportunity. After nightfall, Luo notices that the monsters have finally fallen asleep. Then he descends from the tree and considers that it's time to act. However, while running, he notices something strange on the rock, and suddenly, a mantis bursts out of it. Luo grabs his bow and shoots an arrow straight at the creature, and soon realizes there's nowhere to run since the others have awakened. Thus, he equips his blood axe, knowing that the only thing left to do is fight. Without wasting time, he begins eliminating the creatures. He grabs one by the head, swings it back, and throws it toward the infernal flower. At that moment, several tentacles from the flower start coming out of the ground, and the MC has to retreat immediately. Then, he starts cutting the tentacles to avoid being caught by them while eliminating a few more mantises. But he realizes he's in a terrible situation since, apparently, the monsters seem endless, and the tentacles are extremely annoying. He also reflects that he needs to eliminate them all at once to create an opening because only then will he have a chance to escape. Thus, he spins rapidly with his axe, cutting through the tentacles and monsters within his range. After creating a gap, he runs toward the cave entrance, but the infernal flower doesn't care and launches more of its tentacles. The MC turns, blocks the strike, and is thrown into the cave. Once inside, Luo knows he must get out of there immediately, even though he's aware the tentacles of the infernal flower can't enter. But the shadow mantises are still a major threat. So he runs, grabs a lantern from his bag to light the way, and after running for a while, soon finds an exit. Upon stepping out, he wonders if what he's seeing is the cliff of wind and thunder, as it's quite terrifying. However, he senses an attack coming from nowhere. He equips his blood axe at the last instant and blocks the strike, but is thrown back. Then, he demands to know who is there and why he is being attacked. A man approaches and comments that, in the end, it was true that the blood axe was in the MC's hands, and that waiting there for half a day wasn't in vain, but he wants to know if Inspector Jiang was killed by him. Luo realizes it's Captain Ross and thinks that if he fights him now, he'll be eliminated, so he needs to get out of there as fast as possible, but still asks the captain how the hell he found him. Ross says that the MC didn't hesitate to reveal the blood axe to venture into the secret realm, and that he did it because he truly wants the orb of the wind spirit. Knowing this, he figured that the MC had no time to waste and would take the shortcut through the cave. He then emphasizes that, out of friendship with the former patrol chief, if he hands over the blood axe, he promises to spare his life. Luo makes it clear to the captain that if he wants the axe so badly, he should come and take it by force. Without a second thought, as the captain charges at the MC, he remarks that if he wishes so badly to be eliminated, he will grant that wish. Luo fails to block the captain's attack and is thrown violently against the rocks. Then, he tries to stand and realizes he couldn't block any of Ross's strikes. As he advances, the captain comments that the blood axe is indeed tremendously powerful, granting directly to the MC, a mere mortal, power comparable to that of a level 2 ability user in the early stage. Then, while activating his blazing flame ability, he makes it clear that he can't allow a mere mortal like the MC to possess the axe. Luo braces himself and thinks about the terrible heat radiating from the captain, realizing he must find a way to block it, or he'll truly be eliminated. Thus, he tries to block the flame attack, but due to its power, a massive explosion occurs. Luo takes a deep breath, exhaling frozen air while his entire body is surrounded by flames. From afar, the captain shouts for the MC to scream in agony under his blazing flames, and that once he's burned to ashes, the blood axe will finally be his. However, Luo completely dissipates the captain's flames and counterattacks simultaneously. Ross, seeing the attack coming toward him, questions the power he's feeling and wonders if it could be from a level 2 ability user in the advanced stage. Then, he becomes frightened, questioning how that's possible. Luo, while trying to resist the freezing of his body, knows that drinking 2 eternal winter potions at once is far beyond what the body can withstand, but even so, he doesn't let that stop him and unleashes more attacks. Then the captain dodges and comments that the MC has so much power but doesn't know how to use it, and since he already has one foot in the grave, he'll show him real combat skill. With that said, he launches his flaming slash toward the MC, who, as the flames approach, jumps off the cliff. The captain can't believe the boy did that. Then he starts shouting from the top of the cliff, saying that he swears that, alive or dead, he will find the MC. Meanwhile, an arrow with a rope is shot and hooks onto a rock. Luo manages to hold on to avoid falling from the cliff. Then he jumps onto a tree branch and thinks that now he's temporarily safe. He drinks a potion and reflects that under the fierce pressure of Captain Ross, he took 2 eternal winter potions at the same time. Although it didn't directly collapse his body, it still caused severe internal damage. And for a short period of time, he knows he can't use the transformation of the blood axe. In addition, he thinks there must be many people lurking who want to compete for the orb of the wind spirit, and therefore, he knows he must recover as fast as possible to still have a chance to obtain it. until he sees something strange coming from the cliff of thunder and wind and wonders what it is. While hiding, he notices that it's a woman and wonders if she can fly that easily. The woman, in turn, sees Captain Ross and comments that she didn't expect him to be there as well. Luo wonders if the woman could be a legendary powerhouse above level 7, since he believes she shouldn't even be there, as the secret realm of the Black Stone is just a low-level secret realm, and even level 3 ability users find it difficult to enter, let alone level 7 ones. Luo hears Captain Ross commenting that if a treasure like the Orb of the Wind Spirit made even Miss Ming come there, what's so strange about him being there too? She replies that she understands, but emphasizes that when the storm dissipates, everyone will rely on their own skills to obtain the orb. Thus, the MC concludes that it's Captain Ross's voice and that the woman must be Miss Ming, whom Wang Wu had mentioned before, and apparently, he thinks she really has an extraordinary temperament, but it's a pity he's too far away to see her face clearly. He then concludes that since Miss Ming urgently wants the Orb of the Wind Spirit, it means she must have abilities based on the wind element. However, relying on special abilities to perform short flights is also possible. Luo sees her leaving toward the cliff of thunder and wind and thinks that being able to fly is really incredible. Then, he notices a bright light below the cliff and wonders why the hell there's a light there. It disappears, leaving him confused, but soon reappears. So, the MC prepares his bow and thinks there might be other treasures and decides to take a look. Thus, he fires his arrow with the attached rope and jumps until he reaches the nearby cliff where he saw the light. He soon sees a cave with a blue stone at the back. He quickly jumps inside, approaches the stone, and realizes that the light he was seeing was actually a thunder elemental stone. But he knows that although thunder elemental stones aren't extremely precious, they still need to be formed in places where thunder concentrates. So he knows that at the cliff of wind and thunder, there are hurricanes and lightning. As he walks a bit further, he sees another stone and thinks that initially, he imagined the lightning was just a byproduct of the hurricane. But now, it seems it's not that simple. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning is released and the MC has to roll back to avoid being struck. But upon looking more closely, he realizes he never imagined he'd run into a thunder lizard monster as the creature was hiding near the elemental stone. The lizard quickly leaps and charges at the MC, who immediately prepares his bow and fires his arrows. But due to the lizard's tough body, the arrows are deflected. Luo reflects that the creature's defense is so strong that even his arrows couldn't pierce it. But although its level hasn't evolved to level 2, he knows it's much harder to deal with than a level 1 monster in the peak stage because of the thunder element. He then jumps back to avoid the creature's charge and, while keeping his distance, reflects that in terms of strength and speed, he's no match for the thunder lizard. Furthermore, he knows that the creature also has lightning attacks and therefore needs to find a way to deal with the monster as quickly as possible, because if the situation drags on, he's certain he will be eliminated. So, while preparing, he reflects that the thunder lizard's weak point is its abdomen, especially at the joints where its limbs connect to the body. And even if his arrows can't pierce the creature's defense, he knows that as long as an arrow hits its weak spot, it will be enough to injure it severely. Thus, he watches the creature carefully, and as soon as it moves, he sees his chance. Then, he prepares his bow and lands 2 direct arrows. The lizard begins releasing lightning from its body, and the MC has to jump back to avoid being hit. Then, he thinks the creature has slowed down and that it's the perfect time to counterattack, until he notices a rock above the thunder lizard, and while dodging the creature's electric attacks, shoots his arrows, which hit in the rock directly, shattering it and making it fall on the lizard. Quickly, the MC approaches and drives a dagger into the creature. Luo exhales in relief after defeating the lizard and thinks that if he hadn't exploited its weak point and the terrain hadn't favored him, he might have been eliminated. Then, he observes the lightning from the stone and realizes it's coming from another direction. So he starts running after it and thinks that the frequency of the lightning is increasing, until he sees an exit and wonders if it's possible. Upon leaving, he finds himself facing a huge abyss, and at its center, a strong current of air and electricity is being emitted. Then, he notices a circle and wonders if it could be the Orb of the Wind Spirit, since the treasure is floating in the air and surrounded by storms. So he thinks it will be very difficult to obtain it. Then, he perceives something strange below and, very concerned, concludes that the place there is actually a thunder pool. knowing that these storms and thunders are just external manifestations, and that, in the end, the true source of it all is the thunder pool below. After that, 6 hours pass, and the sun begins to shine on the orb. The MC wonders if the orb of the wind spirit has absorbed the first ray of sunlight and truly nourished itself with purple spiritual energy. Suddenly, something begins to happen in the thunder pool, and a dragon appears, heading toward the orb. Luo wonders if it could be Zhao Jiaolong. At that moment, the creature swallows the orb, and the MC thinks that Zhao Jiaolong is absorbing the purple spiritual energy that was nourished by the orb of the wind spirit. Then the dragon spits the orb out of its mouth, now with a completely different color, and afterward, the creature returns to the thunder pool. The MC thinks that apparently the orb was also deliberately cultivated by the Jiaolong to help it gather purple spiritual energy. Then he knows that judging by the aura on the creature's body, it's equivalent to a level 3 monster, and is probably just a young Jiao that was born recently. But even so, he believes dealing with it is far beyond his capabilities. Fortunately, he didn't act recklessly. He also feels relieved because the enemies are outside while he is hidden inside, and when the storm weakens, the ability users outside will enter and attack the dragon. Therefore, he keeps in mind that he just needs to stay well hidden and strike at the crucial moment to capture the orb of the wind spirit. At that moment, Miss Ming appears and shouts, drawing the attention of all the ability users below. She then announces that the storm and lightning gather there, and that, because of that, many treasures are naturally nourished. She makes it clear that she only wants the orb of the wind spirit and tells everyone to make way. Ross calls out to her and says that he knows she has a solid foundation and came from another place to the secret realm of the Black Stone specifically to obtain the orb, but he emphasizes that everyone there also wants this kind of treasure, and because of that, each one will rely on their own abilities to obtain it. Having said that, the ability users agree with Captain Ross and become even more excited. Ming says she understands, but makes it clear to the captain that she expects his strength to be as great as his determination. He becomes worried, thinking that she is clearly only an advanced level 2 ability user, so he questions why the aura around her body is so terrifying, even believing he might not be a match for her. She, in turn, doesn't stay still and uses her power of wind manipulation within the storm. The users are very surprised since they see her entering through a gap she created herself. Thus, everyone immediately starts running toward the storm while shouting that they can't stay still because the treasure is right ahead. As soon as they enter, they are very surprised since they are in front of several thunder lizards. Captain Ross goes to Miss Ming and informs her that the orb of the wind spirit is at the top of the cliff of wind and thunder, and that the threat of the thunder lizards, which attack in groups, is not small. So he thinks it will not be easy for everyone there to reach the top of the cliff. Then he emphasizes that since his group is composed of 5 advanced level 2 ability users, he wants to know why they don't divide the team into 5 groups to surround and annihilate the monster groups ahead. The members of the captain's team agree with his suggestion. However, Miss Ming draws her sword and makes it clear to everyone that they should do whatever they want. That said, she charges at the thunder lizards. With great ease, she dodges the electric attacks, and as soon as she gets among them, delivers several strikes, cutting them down easily. Ross immediately shouts for his group to split into 4 teams and eliminate the creatures as well. Then he uses his Blazing Flames ability, as do the members of his squad. The Lancer moves in front of one of the lizards and blocks its charge, then shouts for Wang Wu to be careful, but an electric attack comes full force. Fortunately, the Lancer manages to protect the employer by cutting the attack with his spear. He explains that the thunder lizard monsters are even more dangerous than common monsters at peak stage 1, and therefore they must be more cautious. Wang Wu immediately thanks the Lancer for saving him. Then he comments that they barely entered and already ran into a bunch of dangerous monsters, and that he thinks it's likely to be even more dangerous ahead. He then emphasizes that he shouldn't have been selfish and dragged him there. Gao Yuan makes it clear that since he accepted the mission, he must naturally be responsible until the end. But the two soon realize they are surrounded by several thunder lizards until Miss Ming appears, completely eliminating them all. She becomes serious and questions Wang Wu about why he is there. A bit embarrassed, he replies that he heard she needed the orb of the wind spirit, so he thought about helping her. Ming turns and asks him to go back because it's not a place where he should be. Wang Wu is paralyzed by her request and just watches as she goes to the center of the battle. After fighting the thunder lizards for a while, Captain Ross tells his team that all the creatures have finally been eliminated, but as they celebrate, some electric attacks appear, and several area-wide electric explosions begin to occur. The captain wants to know what monster could have done this, but soon they realize that the Thunder Lizard King has appeared. One of the members shouts to everyone that the Lizard King's attack power has reached level 2 at the peak stage, and that they must all work together to defeat it. Ross wants to know what Miss Ming will do, and she just observes the creature and states that she will deal with it alone. That said, she approaches the Lizard King, prepares her ability, and unleashes the instant death wind blade, which cuts the creature in half with great ease. However, due to her ability, she ends up exhausted and falls to her knees on the ground, but that was enough to leave everyone on the battlefield very surprised since they witnessed her defeating the Thunder Lizard King with just one strike. Ross doesn't like it one bit and thinks that the attack he just witnessed definitely reached level 3. He then concludes that apparently the battle for the Orb of the Wind Spirit will be very difficult. It doesn't take long for everyone to reach the top of the cliff, and Miss Ming, and with her wind ability, flies over the area. Inside, the MC is very focused, but soon notices that everyone has finally arrived. Then the MC keeps in mind that now that he is well hidden, he will wait for the ability users to fight the dragon first, and then act when the opportunity arises. Thus, he finishes hiding. At that moment, Miss Ming descends to the center of the cliff and immediately sees the Orb of the Wind Spirit. However, she feels something strange and quickly steps back, thinking that something is wrong. Then she reflects that the Orb of the Wind Spirit gathers air around it and usually hides, and that it shouldn't be so easy to find. So she wonders why the hell it's floating there shining so brightly. However, the ability users don't care and jump toward the orb, until a lightning bolt shoots out from the thunder pool and hits one of the users directly. The pool begins to release even more electric attacks, striking more people who were trying to grab the orb. Ross shouts to his men and warns that the monster at the bottom of the pool is extremely powerful, and that if they want to get the orb, they will need to join forces. His companion agrees, and emphasizes to everyone that before dealing with the monster at the bottom of the pool, no one is allowed to touch the orb. Otherwise, they will be eliminated without exception, especially Miss Ming, because this time she must not act alone again. She takes a deep breath and replies that she understands. Thus, the group begins to descend to the bottom, and as soon as everyone is gathered around the pool, they want to know if the monster is really hiding underwater and how they will deal with it. The vice captain comments that since the monster cares so much about the orb, they should choose someone to go get it. Then it will definitely appear, and they will seize the chance to attack it stealthily. Ross goes to a man and orders him to get the Orb of the Wind Spirit. However, the man falls to his knees and, terrified, tells Captain Ross that he is only a level 1 peak stage ability user and begs not to be forced to do it. Ross draws his flaming sword and completely eliminates the man. Luo sees all of this while hiding and thinks that the captain is truly a lunatic. Then Ross points to another man and orders him to try to get the orb. Terrified of being eliminated as well, the man begins to climb the cliff to reach the orb, and as soon as he gets close, jumps to grab it. At the same moment, electric attacks are fired from the bottom of the pool. Thus, the captain shouts for everyone to attack, and they manage to neutralize the electric strikes. The man trying to grab the orb gets excited, thinking he's going to make it, but doesn't notice the dragon right behind him and is completely swallowed by the beast. Everyone is shocked, wondering if they are really seeing a dragon, which doesn't stay still and attacks everyone with electric discharges and even its tail, hitting several at once. Ross becomes worried and says that this is not good at all because he knows that the dragon's power has definitely reached level 3. His companion comments that he doesn't care because if they want to get the Orb of the Wind Spirit, they have no choice but to eliminate the creature until the dragon tries to return to the bottom of the pool. And Captain Ross, while shouting that they can't let the monster go back underwater, unleashes his flaming blaze attack, but ends up hitting only the dragon's tail. The dragon, in turn, becomes furious, moves quickly, and hits Captain Ross with full force using its tail. The vice captain shouts for everyone to hurry and attack the monster because he fears that if the Captain Ross is defeated, they will all be wiped out. Thus, the ability users begin attacking the dragon frantically with everything they have. The vice captain goes to Ross and removes the stone that was pinning him down. Then, he wants to know if he's all right. Ross falls to his knees and replies that somehow he is fine. At that moment, Miss Ming shouts for everyone to pay attention to what she's about to say, then emphasizes that the orb of the wind spirit was swallowed by the thunder dragon, and that she is determined to kill it and retrieve the orb. She then asks if any of them have the courage to join her. Everyone becomes thoughtful about it, but at that moment, the dragon prepares its attack and fires at Miss Ming, who in turn activates the wind blade technique of the void cut and launches it against the dragon's attack. A huge explosion occurs, and due to the impact, she is thrown backward. The ability users are very surprised to see that she blocked the dragon's attack. Thus, the vice captain shouts that the creature is not invincible and that he is with Miss Ming. Ross also says that he will help her because they cannot simply return empty-handed. With that, both agree to help her. Ming comments that the dragon's flood is already rank 3 and that she is not strong enough to fight alone, so she takes out a diamond wire net from the rank 3 treasure. Then she asks everyone to work together to set up a net to trap it and then eliminate the dragon. That said, the dragon is surprised by something, as it sees a huge net below that will make it impossible for it to return to the bottom of the thunder pool. However, it begins to fly upward, but Miss Ming does not stay still, prepares her power, and flies at full speed after the dragon. Meanwhile, the MC is still hiding and watching everything, but she ends up noticing his presence and turns around, which leaves him quite surprised. Then he quickly turns away, wondering if she really noticed that he is there. However, she doesn't care and continues her advance. Thus, she soon reaches the dragon and shouts that it will not escape so easily. The dragon fires a strong purple energy ball that goes toward Ming. She takes a wind crystal stone and, upon breaking it, an energy surrounds her. And just as she is about to be hit by the dragon's attack, she activates her storm explosion technique and completely dissipates the attack, rushing toward the dragon, which is hit hard and thrown onto the net that the ability users had prepared. Thus, everyone quickly starts laughing and pulling the trapped dragon. From above, Miss Ming shouts, asking no one to lower their guard yet, as they cannot give the beast a chance to escape. Then she quickly reaches the dragon, channels her power into her sword, and unleashes the divine piercing wind blade. The dragon starts screaming loudly, and another power collides with Miss Ming's power. A huge explosion happens, throwing several ability users against the rocks and knocking some out. The scene becomes completely chaotic. Ming begins coughing up blood and struggles to stay standing. However, the dragon opens its eye and lets out a roar, expelling the wind spirit orb upward. Ming immediately flies after it, but ends up being hit by Captain Ross's attack, who in turn jumps and asks her not to blame him, as he needs to get his hands on the treasure. She becomes furious, and, while channeling her power, yells that the captain is seeking his own death. Ross, close to grabbing the orb, is struck head-on by Miss Ming's instant flash wind technique, but due to the intense battle and high skill consumption, she begins coughing up blood and then falls before even grabbing the orb. At that moment, Luo, seeing that Ming is falling powerless, thinks it's his chance and bursts out of hiding. Transformed into his giant form, he rushes to grab the wind spirit orb. With great ease, he takes the treasure, leaps, and embeds his blood axe into a rock to keep from falling. Then, he looks up and thinks that now that he has the orb, he will probably become a target for everyone, and therefore must get out of there immediately. Thus, he leaps upward and soon reaches the outside, then begins descending the cliff until he is surprised to see a chaotic scene of an intense battle. Then he thinks that, luckily, he accidentally discovered a secret passage. Otherwise, he believes he would have lost his life trying to get the orb. Upon reaching near the ravine, he jumps again and continues his way through the forest. While doing this, he keeps in mind that the transformation of the blood axe is almost at its limit, and soon after the time runs out and his body is reduced again, but he knows he escaped and thinks he must be safe for now. Then he feels happy seeing the orb in his hand, as it is a divine treasure. He reflects that as long as he uses the orb as an awakening stone, he is sure he will be able to awaken an ability, but he knows he cannot rush this. So he decides to wait until he finds a completely safe and hidden place to begin the awakening ceremony. While getting ready, he thinks that the secret of the blood axe transformation is known only by Ross, who was just killed by Miss Ming. So, in other words, he knows that as long as he doesn't transform, no one will know that he was the one who took the wind spirit orb. However, he becomes quite surprised as he sees that Miss Ming has found him there, but she coughs up a lot of blood and, almost powerless, falls to her knees. Ming asks the MC not to misunderstand her. then explains that she is not trying to steal the orb, as she wants to make a trade with him. Then she takes something from her clothes and emphasizes that she will trade what she holds for the orb. She then explains that what she has is the core of the Thunder Flood Dragon monster she just killed, and that its value is much greater than that of the Wind Spirit Orb. Ming comments that there is no fluctuation of ability power coming from the MC, and therefore wants to know if he is trying to awaken an ability with the orb, as he can trust that the monster core is much more effective for awakening an ability than the Wind Spirit Orb. Luo becomes thoughtful, looking at the stone in Miss Ming's hand, until the blood axe itself starts urging the MC to take the stone and consume it. With that, Luo reflects that he thinks Miss Ming must not be lying, as it seems even the blood axe has a desire for the monster core in her hand. However, he wants to know how she managed to find him. She replies that her ability is of the wind type, and that as long as the distance is not too great, she can sense the location of the Wind Spirit Orb at any time. Luo thinks that apparently the secret of the blood axe transformation has not been revealed, so he tells her that he accepts the trade. Ming throws the core, thanks the MC, and emphasizes that the orb is very important. Luo catches the core and throws the orb to Miss Ming. She breathes in relief as she finally gets the orb. But soon after, she loses consciousness due to exhaustion and collapses completely to the ground. Luo becomes worried about the lady, goes to her, and thinks that Ming was terrifyingly strong when she appeared, and he never thought there would be a moment like the one he just witnessed for her, as it seems she was also seriously injured in the previous battle. Thus, he turns away, thinking it is better to get out of there to avoid trouble, but soon his conscience starts to weigh on him, so he takes a deep breath and, picking her up to carry her, thinks that she should be considered a lucky person since he cannot stand seeing a beautiful woman in trouble. Night soon falls, and the MC manages to find a safe cave, and while he prepares something to eat, he lets Miss Ming rest, but she soon begins to wake up slowly and is quite surprised to see that the MC is still there. Ming wants to know why he saved her, since he could have taken the orb and all the treasures while she was down. The MC smiles and makes it clear that a knight seeks wealth fairly and does not take advantage of others, but emphasizes that as for saving her, there is not much to say since he has a good heart. She smiles, and as soon as she stands up, introduces herself, saying that her name is Ming Lan and that it is a pleasure to meet the MC. Luo takes her hand and introduces himself as well. Then Ming says that she has a secret technique that can perfectly activate the monstrous core of the Thunder Flood Dragon, and that when her wounds heal, she will help him, as she knows that the quality of the monster core she traded with him may even allow the MC to awaken a king-level ability. Luo becomes quite surprised to hear that and immediately wants to know if he will really be able to awaken a king-level ability. Ming wants to know if he already understands that abilities also have different levels. Luo replies that he knows, and that, based on power, abilities are categorized as low-level, mid-level, high-level, and king-level abilities. She comments that he is right, although above the king level there is a divine-level ability, but that is just a legend since she has certainly never seen one. And besides the difference in power, the most crucial aspect of ability levels is that they determine the maximum level a skill user can reach. The MC comments that he has never heard of that before. Ming emphasizes that Black Rock City is quite remote, so it is normal that he doesn't know. Thus, she explains that in reality, a skill user who awakens a low-level ability will be stuck at level 1, unable to advance throughout their life, and that the strongest person in his city is only at peak level 3. This happens precisely because she only has a mid-level ability and cannot go beyond that. Then she points out that in a backward place like Black Rock City, it is practically impossible to awaken a high-level ability, as not only are advanced awakening treasures extremely rare, but the real problem is the lack of the awakening secret arts required. The MC feels embarrassed and thinks that it's a good thing he saved her. Otherwise, even with the Thunder Flood Dragon's core, he probably wouldn't have been able to awaken his ability, so he feels that doing good really pays off. Ming says that she will use her family's secret art to help him awaken his ability as payment for saving her life, but that he must keep it a secret. Luo says that he will never tell anyone. Thus, 3 days pass, and Ming is showing and explaining the formation called the Moon Spirit Initiation Matrix, saying that only in the dead of night, using the moon as a guide, will it elevate the MC's soul and amplify his senses hundreds of times. She then explains that only then will he be able to truly feel the core of power within the awakening treasure, absorb it, and merge with it, so the MC should prepare, as the matrix is about to begin. Next, she makes a seal and, releasing her power, activates the MC's ceremony matrix. Luo, while focused, thinks that he can feel the sensation as if he were becoming immortal. Then a beam of light descends from the sky, and as the MC is surrounded by that energy, Ming tells him not to get distracted, as he must focus on sensing the power within the Thunder Flood Dragon's core and try to approach it and fully merge with it. Thus, Luo becomes even more focused and creates a connection with the core until he realizes he is in another place and wonders where he went and why there are countless terrifying lightning bolts. Ming explains that it's normal and that the place the MC must be in is inside the monster's core, and the lightning itself is its main power. Then a lightning bolt comes toward the MC, who extends his arm toward it, and as the power runs through his body, he comments that it doesn't seem threatening at all, and that, in fact, he feels he can absorb it easily. Having said that, he clenches his fist tightly and says he feels a little stronger, wondering if that's what awakening feels like. Luo, spreading his arms, laughs and shouts for the power to come at him with everything so he can absorb it, and his body is quickly surrounded by several bolts of lightning. While focusing on channeling the power of the core, time passes, and as soon as he finishes, dawn breaks. Luo opens his eyes, and with his body overflowing with power, he thinks he feels completely different, almost as if he is bursting with energy, since even his old internal injuries are fully healed. Ming, while using a shield due to the power released by the MC, asks how his ability awakening went. Luo says that everything went well, and that the lightning feels like his own arm, and he can control it as he wishes. But he wants to know why it is blue, since the ones he felt and saw before were clearly purple. Ming says that it's normal since he has just awakened and is not strong enough yet to fully use a king-level ability, which is why he cannot display its full power. The MC wants to know how her injuries are. She replies that they are practically healed but wants to know why he's asking. Luo asks Miss Ming to fight him because he wants to test the power of his ability. She laughs and emphasizes that anyone who manages to awaken an ability and feels that good is welcome to try. Luo wastes no time and immediately fires his lightning, but Miss Ming easily blocks it and emphasizes that his lightning power is not bad and that he is already at peak level 1 right after awakening. However, she makes it clear that he has no technique, is full of flaws, and his power is unfocused. The MC equips his blood axe and asks her to analyze his next move. Ming is quite surprised by his transformation. Luo charges at her, and Ming releases her wind power, and both attacks collide violently, shattering everything around. She jumps back and quickly wants to know if what she's seeing is his mysterious transformation, because combined with the lightning power, his attack doubled in strength since she was unable to block it, and that it's already comparable to many peak level 2 ability users. Luo returns to normal and, laughing, says, "It's all luck." Ming explains that a king level ability is extremely rare and that perhaps only 1 in 10,000 ability users can awaken one, but his power is absolutely undeniable as it can grant the user a special ability. She then says that it's the same with her king level wind domain ability, which allows her to fly on the wind, but she asks the MC to train hard and try to master his own special ability. Luo becomes confused and comments that he thought all wind-type ability users had that ability she uses. Ming laughs and wants to know what he's dreaming about, because nothing that good comes that easily. However, she says she must leave. Luo keeps staring at her, but she emphasizes that he has awakened a king-level ability and possesses the Blood Axe, a divine weapon, and that's why she believes his potential is immeasurable. She then invites the MC to go to Star City, saying that Black Rock City is far too small. He replies that he'll think about it, but that he probably will. Thus, as she flies away at full speed, Ming looks back and shouts for the MC to remember to visit her, as she'll be waiting for him. Luo thinks about her city and concludes that he will definitely go there. After that, the MC, after 2 days on the road, breathes in relief because he finally reaches the dungeon's exit, but finds it strange and wonders why the place is completely empty, since he knows it's usually crowded with ability users entering and leaving the dungeon, and he can't even hear footsteps. Then, he hears a sound and turns to see what it is. Someone appears calling the MC's name and saying that he finally showed up. It's Mo Dongcheng, a high-level level 1 ability user, who immediately says that if the MC hadn't appeared, he doesn't know how much longer he could have waited, and wants to know if the boy realizes that sealing the gate entrance angers many people. Luo wants to know if Dongcheng was specifically waiting for him because he doesn't think he knows him. Dongcheng laughs and tells the MC to stop pretending because as the son of the former patrol chief, there's no way he doesn't know him since he's a very important person in Black Rock City. But then he says it's fine, though he demands that the MC hand over the Wind Spirit Orb and, for the sake of his father, he'll spare him. Luo makes it clear that, believe it or not, he has already given the orb to Miss Ming. Dongcheng becomes angry, releases his power, calls Luo a stubborn brat, and emphasizes that after killing him, the orb will be his anyway. Having said that, he charges forward using his adamantine fist ability. The MC quickly equips his blood axe and begins exchanging blows with Dongcheng, who comments that he didn't expect a kid like the MC to be so strong, but Luo doesn't care and keeps attacking. However, Dongcheng activates his Falling Starfish Shadow ability. The MC grips his axe tightly and makes it clear that he asked for this and shouldn't blame him for what's about to happen. Luo, seeing that he won't stop his attack, uses his new Instant Thunder Annihilating Slash ability, and due to its great power, begins destroying Dongcheng's ability, who in turn cannot believe that his skill was overpowered, and a massive explosion occurs. Then Dongcheng is thrown hard to the ground. Completely injured, he tries to get up and, shocked, says that it's impossible because the aura he feels coming from the MC is almost as if he had just awakened an ability. Thus, seeing Luo coming toward him, he wants to know how he can be so powerful, since the last attack he took was basically at peak level 2. Luo thinks that just a few days ago he was completely defeated by Captain Ross, and now he feels he can easily defeat a strong, high-level level 2 ability user like him. Then he points his axe at Dongcheng and asks how he knew who he was. Dongcheng, terrified, shouts that he will talk, but begs the MC not to kill him. He then says that Ross was killed by Miss Ming and that he told everything before dying, but emphasizes that if he could go back in time, he would rather never have known such a secret. Luo thinks that he hopes Dongcheng will be the last person to know about the blood axe. Then, without any mercy, he wishes Dongcheng to rest in peace and brutally eliminates him. After that, he walks toward the dungeon's exit, and as soon as he leaves, a man appears calling the MC and wanting to know if Mr. Dongcheng hadn't temporarily sealed the rift entrance and how he managed to get out. Luo turns with a sinister look and makes it clear to the man that he'd better mind his own business if he wants to keep living. The man becomes completely embarrassed, and as soon as the MC walks away, he asks his friend if he noticed those terrifying eyes. His friend replies yes, and points out that those eyes were filled with killing intent. As the MC goes down the stairs, he grabs his phone and sees 15 missed calls from his uncle, and as soon as he calls back, his uncle yells, calling him a brat and saying that he ran off to the rift alone for more than 10 days, and it even seemed like he had disappeared since he sent people to look for him but they couldn't find him. Luo apologizes to his uncle and explains that there's no signal inside the dungeon, but wants to know if something happened. His uncle says it's nothing urgent, that he just wants him to come home, rest a bit, and go see him. As soon as he hangs up the call, the MC has in mind that the trip to the Black Rock Rift lasted more than 10 days, but fortunately, he managed to awaken his ability. However, seeing the entire city from above, he knows that now it's time to go home and get a good night's sleep.